Hi, this video tutorial is about adding questions to a quiz. So I already have a quiz created, so if you need to know how to create a quiz and set up security settings and things like that, you might want to watch the quiz setup video. This is just about adding questions to a quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and click exam 1. I have it set up right here. And when I open that up, you can see the settings that we've already set up in the first tutorial, i.e. the quiz comes available at a certain time, it closes at a certain time, and has a time limit. In order to edit that quiz, I can click the cog wheel up here in the right-hand corner, and I can click Edit Quiz. That'll open the quiz editing interface. Now, first of all, I want to point out that we have a maximum grade up here at the top. The maximum grade is what the quiz final percentage grade is going to be given out of in terms of points in the grade book. So if you want the maximum grade for the quiz to be 100, we'll leave 100 there. But let's say I wanted a 10-point quiz. I would enter 10 here and I would click Save. And then the maximum grade for the quiz, as you can see, has changed to 10. This is an important distinction that we're going to use a little bit later, so keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and click Add now, and I'm going to click Add a new question. This is going to open the question type choice interface. Let's say that I wanted to add a multiple choice question. I would click that, and I would click Add. I'm going to go ahead and name this question, just for argument's sake. I'm going to call it Question 1 in Exam 1. Now, the question text is the actual question itself. What color is the sky? So, what color is the sky? Now I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to see the possible answers. There's a few choices that we can make here. For example, we want one answer only. It's possible to give a student the option to select multiple of these answers, but in the traditional sense, we're just going to have one answer that is correct and all of the other ones are going to be incorrect. Shuffle the choices means that A is not always going to be the same answer for every student, so it'll shuffle the choices within the question itself. You can change the way the choices are numbered as well, whether you want lowercase letters, numbers, Roman numerals, or no numbering at all. That's up to you whether the choices have, question A, B, and C, or question 1, 2, and 3. That's purely cosmetic. So, the answers, here's where the rubber hits the road. Choice number 1 is blue. Remember, the question is what color is the sky? So, if someone answers blue, I want to give them 100% of the points available for this question. I could also, if I were using feedback, if I wanted the student to see something after they answer this question, I might write in here, great job. The correct answer is blue. So that the student would see if I had immediate feedback set up, they would get this feedback when they chose this question. So it's a way to teach them. But in these tutorials, I'm creating a summative quiz, not a formative quiz. So the feedback is not going to be displayed to the student anyway. So for choice number 2, I'm going to select red. Now, that is the incorrect answer, so I'm going to leave the grade as none. Students get no points either way for this question. I do, however, want to point out that you could, if you wanted to, give the student 50% credit, for example, if a choice is partially correct. Or if you wanted to be really punitive, you can actually take away points. We don't usually do this in Western assessment. So usually it's just none. If you get it correct, you get the points. If you get it incorrect, you don't get any points at all. So I'm going to add a couple more choices here. Green, obviously, is incorrect. It'll get a grade of none. I'm going to add choice 4 here. Purple, I'm going to leave a grade of none. Of course, maybe we could give them 50% credit if they thought that it was purple during the sunset. That might be a partially correct answer. But again, usually we don't give partial credit. It's usually one answer is correct and the others are all incorrect, so you get no points for that. So I'm going to scroll down, and if I wanted to have more choices, I could click the blanks for 3 more choices, and it would give me more options to add to this multiple choice question. I'm only going to do 4 because that's the really standard multiple choice question for knowledge and comprehension level assessment. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click Save Changes. And that will take us back to the editing screen. Now you can see question 1, exam 1, what color is the sky? I'm going to go ahead and click the magnifying glass right here, and it will give us a preview of the question. This is what the student will see, absent the technical information down here at the bottom. Just what is above these buttons right here is what the student will see. So if I am a student, I'm looking at this question and I select blue, I click submit and finish, and you'll see that I get no feedback. It doesn't show me what the correct answer is. It doesn't give me any feedback one way or another, because if you'll remember from the setup tutorial, we set this quiz up not to give any feedback at all to the students, just to have them submit their answers and see nothing afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and click close preview because I'm pleased with the way this question is working. And I'm going to add one more question just for the sake of it. A new question. I'm going to add a matching question. So question A, maybe this is question 2, exam 1. And because this is a matching question, I'm going to say match the color with the item. And then if I scroll down, I can see that the choices interface looks a little bit different. Maybe question 1 is a cardinal, like the bird. The correct answer is red. Maybe a frog is the next answer. The next question. The correct answer is green. And question 3 is the sky, and the correct answer is blue. I'm going to demonstrate this blanks for 3 more questions button really quickly. Go ahead and click that, and then you'll see that it refreshes the page, but it maintains the answers I've put in already. A cardinal is red, a frog is green, the sky is blue. But now I have question 4, question 5, and question 6. So I could add additional options in this matching question. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and click Save Changes. And Moodle will take me back to the quiz editing page. You'll notice I have page 1 and page 2 in this quiz. If I wanted to get rid of that page break, or let's say that I had multiple questions in this area, and I wanted to repaginate the whole thing, I could click Repaginate, and I could say maybe I want 5 questions per page. I'll click Go. If I had, 10 questions or 20 questions or whatever, if I had 10 questions, it would have repaginated it into 2 pages with 5 questions apiece, which is about the right number. I recommend pagination at most 5 questions per page because it gives the student the opportunity to submit their answers and it refreshes, and submit their answers and refreshes. If you put 100 questions on one page, there's any number of things. The more questions that you add, the more opportunity there is for a Wi-Fi interruption or something like that. So I think at most 5 questions per page is appropriate, because then every time they go to a new page, their answers from the previous page are stored and there's no chance of them losing their answers. So this pagination is an important feature. Now you'll notice that both question 1 and question 2 have a point value of 1, yet the maximum grade is still set at 10, and the total of points is 2. Many of you at this point reasonably may be asking, how can this be? And the idea is that in the Moodle quiz module, the maximum grade is decoupled from the amount of points that are available in the quiz. So if I answer question 1 correctly and I answer question 2 incorrectly, right now I would get 5 out of 10. If I get 1 right and 1 wrong, I get half of the maximum grade. If I change the point value of a question, so let's say I want to turn this into a 2-point question. Let's say that I get question 1 correct and I get question 2 incorrect, I will get a 6.6 repeating, because I've gotten a third of the total of points available. If I answered question 1 incorrect and I answered question 2 correct in this scenario, what will go into the grade book is 3.3 repeating, because again, what's being passed from the total of points to the maximum grade for the quiz is a percentage, and it'll scale it up to that. This is a very important feature for item analysis and curving. Later on, after the students take the quiz, if I want to throw out a question, that makes it really easy for me to just zero out the point value of a question, regrade everything all at once, and then it'll scale it appropriately to the maximum grade. Rather than taking the total of points and making that the maximum grade, we get to set the maximum grade independently of how many points are on the quiz. The more you use the quiz module, especially for summative, high-stakes testing, you're going to realize that decoupling the maximum grade from the total of points is a major advantage when you're managing curving especially. So the point value of the questions themselves are relative only to one another, and they don't actually add up to make the maximum grade. They don't need to, because Moodle is scaling it up for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 1 and click enter. So now these questions have equal value. If I get question 1 correct and question 2 incorrect, I would get 5 points out of 10 now, instead of the ratios that I was talking about earlier. So that is how you add questions to a quiz. Now, it is also possible, using the Moodle quiz module, to add random questions from a quiz category. So I'll go ahead and click add, and if I click add a random question, it's going to ask me which question from which category I want to add a question. So I have a default for quiz template 2026. You'll see we've got questions 1 and question 1 exam 1 and some other questions I've added. If I want to add a random number of questions, let's say I want to add 2 questions from the default for spring 2020 template. There are 6 questions in there. What it will do is it will pull 2 random questions for each student. So I could actually give students different questions from a quiz category using the question bank. Now I have a different tutorial about the question bank and how to make questions and question categories in the question bank. That's a little bit outside of the scope of this tutorial, but suffice it to say, if I click add random question, you'll notice now that we have a random question that will be pulled from the question bank category default for spring 2020 template. And we have another one because remember I chose 2. You can look at those questions if you want to. Now that we have these random questions on here, I want to repaginate again. You might want to wait until the end of adding all the questions to do this. And notice if I repaginate with 5 questions per page, all those page breaks are gone. Likewise, if I wanted to repaginate with 2 questions per page, I could click that and it'll put a page break in between the first 2 questions and the next 2 questions. So now this quiz is ready to go. If I want to preview it and see what a student would see, I go to the breadcrumb trail, I click exam 1, and then I open the drop-down menu right here, and I click preview. And this is what a student would see entering to make an attempt to the quiz. Notice it gives the student a warning. This quiz has a time limit of 45 minutes. We set that up in the first video tutorial. Time will count down from the moment you start your attempt, and you must submit before it expires. Are you sure you wish to start now? This is just making sure that the student's aware they get 1 attempt, and the time limit is going to start as soon as they click Start Attempt. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Attempt, and here's what it looks like for a student to see it. The student actually won't see the edit question bit. That's just for the teachers. But what color is the sky? Okay, I'll select blue. And then I'm going to answer this one, green, red, etc. Okay, so I've answered these 2 questions. I'm going to go ahead and click Next Page. And now it's providing me 2 random questions from that category, okay? So I'll select maybe green for this one, and I'll select blue for what is the best color. Now that I've gotten through all of the 4 questions that we added to this quiz, both the ones that we edited on the fly at the beginning of this tutorial and the ones we added randomly from the category after we added those first 2, I'm going to go ahead and click Finish Attempt. Notice that the student will see their answers have been saved for all the questions. They can at this time click Return to Attempt if they want to, and it's going to give them the time left for the quiz. So if the student was very anxious and they moved all the way through the quiz, they can see that now they still have a little time if they want to go and they want to return to the attempt and they want to edit the answers. So this is a good way for students to get a chance to go back and think a little bit more about questions they had problems with if they want to. But now I'm going to go ahead and click Submit All and Finish. It's going to give me a confirmation. Once you submit, you will no longer be able to change your answers for this attempt. So the student knows that they cannot edit this attempt any longer. When they click Submit All and Finish, it is over, and you can see that they can see their answers, but they can't see whether or not they're correct, and they can't see what the points they got for them were. They can go ahead and click Finish Review, and then that's going to kick them back in there, and it'll show them that the previous attempt is finished and what the time limit was, how many attempts were allowed, etc. Now the student can return to the course, and the quiz is over for them. So that is the basic adding questions tutorial for the Moodle quiz module. Again, remember to watch the tutorial before this if you haven't seen it, the setup for the quiz. There you'll find how to set that time limit and how to set the simple browser security that keeps a student from navigating away from that quiz. Okay, there's another tutorial after this about analyzing results. Once again, thank you for watching, and as always, happy Moodling.